Hey guys, this is Blue Forest. So today we are going to do the Dirge showcase without doing the boring, repetitive, easy showcase mission, which I am not really a fan of those. So I figured, why don't we solo Dirge on a lane in the latest time slide, and this is the one with the Scout B boss, so this should be fun. This lane is evade ranged, so not too tricky. But anyway, I think Dirge is an excellent bot, actually. A very strong warrior with a really good and interesting kit. I think he's one of the strongest of all of the recent releases, for sure. And he was also the least bugged, right? So many of the recent bots have had tons of issues. And Dirge is just not a mess, kind of like Slipstream was a huge mess. Rodimus does appear to have some issues. Brawler High definitely has some issues. Dirge had a couple minor problems, but he was much more ready to go out of the gate, and a few of his issues have been fixed. And he's just really, really strong. I mean, I think they did an excellent job with him. He's got a creative kit. He's a bit different in every way. He's not just a carbon copy of everybody else. And I really like what they did with Fear in particular, Fear being a brand new ability. They didn't just give him a bunch of other abilities recycled from other bots. And Fear is awesome. Fear is super useful for all kinds of players. It just gives you so much free passive damage, passive buffs, passive debuffs, and it's very central to his kit. The fact that he starts the fight with Fear applied on the opponent every time. The fact that it cannot be purified by a bot like TC or Grim, and even though it can be removed, if you don't get hit too much, it usually won't get removed. And even if it is removed, it's very easy to get it back, because that's where his sort of interesting anti-evasion comes into play. I like their take on it, because it's not traditional anti-evade in the sense that he doesn't prevent bots from evading, but he penalizes bots for, sidestepping, dashing back, blocking a bunch of times. Fear is then applied, and that's super useful against, say, the Scout B boss that we're going to go up against in a few minutes, and other bots that like to evade a lot, as well as just normal bots, because all bots are going to try to evade you. And so Fear is very powerful. It gives him a significantly increased crit chance. It applies a really strong attack debuff on the opponent, so it has that bit of a defensive ability. And of course it has those super strong bleeds when the timer expires. They are brief bleeds, but they're very powerful bleeds. And of course they can be applied, multiple times in a fight. And so Dirge is the kind of bot that you can just kind of dance around the arena and, do a lot of free damage, essentially. I also like that his specials, special 1 and 2 are at least somewhat unique. They share some characteristics with other specials, but at least they look a bit different. They don't look totally rehashed. Obviously, he does have the special 3 copy, but at least they made his specials look a little bit cool. Like, I like that special 1 right there. So I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a very strong contender. I've got mine at rank 4 right now. He's not forged at all. He's Sig 1, I think, something like that. But, when I play with him, he does generally do pretty well, including against, opponents that are much stronger than him. I also like his Sig. It's a good Sig because when opponents miss with melee attacks, which they often will, he gets a nice attack boost. Then obviously scales, so I think at Sig 1 is a 10% attack boost, but that does go up, quite a bit if you invest into his Sig. And so I'm a real fan. I'm a huge fan. I will say the one thing I don't like, just synergy-wise, is the one he has with Ramjet, because he can apply these stuns when the opponent has Fear and they backdash, dash back or sidestep, but it's only a half-second stun, which is just dumb. I mean, that's totally useless. By the time you realize it, the stun's going to be over. So I wish it was at least... Look at that, I just jinked myself. Cliffjumper had the stun, I went for it, and of course the stun was over and he got me with that special 1. Yeah, so I wish it was a 1-second stun, kind of like Jetfire has with his parry. At least you can work with that a little bit. But beyond that, I'm absolutely a fan of his. And, he's also just very fun to play. I will say his movements are a little bit jerky, kind of like Ramjet, of course. It takes some getting used to. I feel pretty fine with it now. I think if I play with him more, I will get more used to it. But yeah, sometimes kind of your positioning is a little bit off. Like he just air punched right there. Obviously, all bots will air punch sometimes. So sometimes his movements are a little bit awkward and weird. But you know, if you can live with that and get used to that, Dirge will do tons and tons of damage. He does seem to crit a lot, even if fear is not applied. Like I said, his bleeds are good. And of course, fear also gives some really nice bonuses on his specials. You know, he gets increased attack on his special 1. The burns are way stronger in his special 2. And then he applies a 30-second fear at the special 3 that cannot be removed. That would be great for long fights. So, you know, I would definitely recommend you pick him up this month, because of course he is in the store this month. And so, all right, so we're going to go up against Scout B. And this is a great test. I think he's on evade power gain and evade ranged. I'm sure he's on evade mods. So we'll just have to be careful of the power gain. But Dirge is great to use against bots like B and Sideswipe, because you can kind of use their strengths against them. And so, you know, I mean, right there, I mean, this is a rank 4 Dirge. He just applied a pretty huge bleed on B, which is really nice, you know. And so I'm definitely impressed with him, and there's a lot of, not only scouts, but certainly scouts in particular, I would be very excited to bring Dirge against, for sure. So just like that, B is down, nice and easy, not a long fight at all. So anyway, that's Dirge for you. Like I said, he's in the store now, along with RC and Wheeljack and Shockwave. They're all good, but if you're looking for a new bot, or certainly if you're looking to invest in one of the recent releases, I would say Dirge would be your best bet, because he works well and he's very, very good. And in terms of Rodimus, maybe you've seen some gameplay by now. Of course, his animations are all recycled. His kit is interesting, but there is a fair amount of RNG in it, and a lot of his best abilities won't trigger until he loses a lot of health, which is kind of disappointing. Most people are understandably disappointed in him. His specials don't make any sense, by the way. It does not look like a Prime at all. I wonder if Kabam even knows Transformers lore and Transformers history. But anyway, I would not recommend buying Rodimus, at least certainly not for money. I don't think I'm going to get him for Energon either, personally. But Dirge is certainly one worth picking up. And since you can get him for bot chips, I think it's a very worthwhile investment. So anyway, I will leave it there for now. Do let me know if you guys have any questions, and we will speak again soon.